Right. Now I would like to invite Cecilia Olne. She's a Senior Vice President for Sweden-India Business Council. Cecilia is also an entrepreneur and an investor, so it makes her all the more interesting to be the moderator now for this session. You will have a fireside chat with Anna Gissler, the CEO of Invest Stockholm, about Stockholm as impact capital, and with Startup India. So, warm welcome, Cecilia.
Thank you so much, Sunny. So good to be back on stage here at the India-Sweden Innovation Day. And thank you for the introduction. Anna,
yes,
so lovely to have you here as well.
Thank you.
We're going to have a session. We're going to talk not only with Anna Gissler, but also we're going to have someone joining us from India, Sanju, if I'm not mistaken myself.
Yeah.
Good evening, India. And this is Salil. Salil is joining us from Delhi, I believe.
Yes, Salil seat.
Very nice. You are representing, of course, the government of India, and you will be talking a little bit more about what you do to support the startup ecosystem in India. Before I speak to the two of you, I say a few things more about myself. I do stand here on stage in Stockholm today, but I live in India since 2007. So this session is very, very interesting for me because I sometimes get a bit torn about whether I should spend my time in India or should I spend my time in Sweden. And I often come to the conclusion that I should spend my time in both places. And one of the reasons, of course, is because Stockholm happens to be a favorite city to be in. And India happens to be where I have been spending my last 14 years and become very close to everything around it. But now we're going to talk about why it is that Stockholm is very much the place to be. And on that note, I would like to leave the word to Anna. I spend more and more time in Stockholm, and I truly believe that it has a reason when it comes to what Invest Stockholm is doing also to make it, so to speak, the impact capital. Could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Absolutely. Actually, Stockholm made the biggest impact on me as a city like 20 years ago when I moved to Stockholm and I fell in love. And I've been in love with Stockholm since that. And I think Stockholm is a combination of, we are all like early adopters within techniques. We have a heritage of old technique companies, which nowadays had ended up in startups and a lot of software and hardware innovations. And also the way we live and also the way we are really entrepreneurial souls in most of us actually, even through from daycare through school and into university. So I think that a combination of the culture heritage and the business heritage here together with the sustainable issues that we have always been in forefront of, is the ground to be an impact capital, actually. And that has, together with examples as co-working spaces and incubators and hubs like Norrsken, who is hosting, I think it's over 300 entrepreneurs within impact, where every company or every entrepreneur has except the ordinary thing in the company and the startups, it also connects to one of UN's sustainable goals. And I think that is pretty much the ground in why Stockholm and Sweden is seen as an impact capital and maybe an impact country also, actually. So a lot about connecting to the sustainability and being in the forefront of what you see within the impact. And already today, Stockholm attracts 10% of the VC capital to Swedish impact startups. So even though we're not maybe in the top, we are getting there in different things. And within investments, foundings, of course, but also a lot of startups and entrepreneurs connecting in this area and develop within this area.
And I can, of course, see that more and more happening, and I see it, of course, happening from the Swedish startup point of view. But one thing that is also an example of that, also the world is looking at Sweden. And of course, we were instrumental in that because we had, with Invest Stockholm, we had a delegation from India to Sweden in 2019 during Stockholm Tech Week. And we had 20 entrepreneurs, we had 5 investors and 5 influencers. Some of them who you're going to be hearing here on stage in a couple of minutes. But we also have Gita, who was just pitching from Niramai. And she came on this delegation to explore Stockholm for the first time. And she was actually supposed to be standing on stage here herself and not be online today, because she's coming back to Stockholm to work more in Stockholm with her breast cancer solution. And she also has Anna Kinberg Batra as an advisor. So we see how now really people are coming. It's not only like talk, it's happening. Companies are coming, even from India, to set up business in Stockholm. And of course, Invest Stockholm has played a very important role in that. And on that note, I also felt that it's worth mentioning that Stockholm is a women's place.
Yeah,
so you
that's
see,
right.
like, these women come from Bangalore to Stockholm.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you say something more about this?
Absolutely. We realized a couple of years ago that we haven't communicated that Stockholm is a women's place, and Sweden, of course, as a country also is. And it's not that only women are welcome in Stockholm. Everyone is welcome, of course. Stockholm's DNA is open, visionary, and trustworthy. And the openness has been in our historical nerves since way back, within business and within culture, of course. But what happened was that we realized that talents moving here, and the biggest talent group in Stockholm from outside Europe is the Indian tech talents. So that's a really crucial group. They realized that and told us that Stockholm is a great place for women to be and to fulfill their dreams in both the family life but also business life. Because a woman is supposed to be wherever she wants to be, and that is possible in Stockholm. That is possible with the best or the most developed maternity or parental leave system in the world, actually, with 480 paid parental days, and where one of the part, mostly the man, but the part who isn't the mother in the case has at least 2 months that person need to take out in parental leave also. So it's one of the best systems in the world, I actually would like to say, and that make it possible for both women and men to make career in different ways, both in family lives but also in business lives.
Excellent. Thank you so much for these words. And if you haven't heard enough about Stockholm, we'll tell more about that later. But I think now it's time also for India to say a few words about what it is that you do to support the startup ecosystem, to support the ecosystem in general. Tell us a little bit more about that. Why do you believe India is the place to be, and what is it that you do to keep companies and people in India? I mean, I'm one of them, of course, that have stayed back for so many reasons that Startup India has been engaged in.
Thank you for that question. So first of all, I would just like to start by apologizing that Shruti ma'am couldn't be here, and so we are here and filling up and representing Startup India. At the same time, I would like to thank you and your audience for inviting us and giving us a chance to explain why they should come for India. So just to give a brief background about Startup India. Startup India was launched on January 16, 2016 by an Honorable Prime Minister to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. That was supposed to drive sustainable economic growth, generate large-scale opportunities, employment opportunities, and so on and so forth. Startup India has worked extensively on supporting the Indian ecosystem through regulatory reforms, procurement opportunities with government department, partnerships with corporates, and with international partners, such as you were just mentioning that we take we take our contingents and we take our delegations to international ecosystems and make the interaction happen. Similarly, as a country, we have worked towards strengthening our startup ecosystem at the central level and at the state level. Since some of you might be aware that India is a federal structure, some laws are with the central government, some with the state government. But how we do a focused development is some of the key pillars of this journey have been, first, we provide institutional support to startups. We have created a mechanism to provide availability, have a startup policy, have a nodal department, have mentorship available for startups, do partnerships with result in creating a lot of value for startups. Second is increasing ease of doing business for startups and simplifying regulations. So whenever a startup has some law or something which is hindering their growth, they come to us, we help them write the white paper, make the representation on behalf of them to the concerned ministry or the department, and then, ease the way out for them. Third, as I was just mentioning, easing public procurement. We have also taken initiatives to host, a host of initiatives in relaxing public procurement guidelines for startups. Fourth, and which is something very interesting, back when we started in 2016, right in January, there was only 100 odd incubators in the country. But we are happy to share that now we have more than 700 plus incubators throughout India. And the aim is to have an incubator in every district of India across next 5 years. So, we provide wide-scale incubation support for all the companies which are just growing. Then after incubation, when the company has taken off, we have launched our seed fund scheme, where there's a total outlay of $125 million, which is available for a startup. Already some 70 odd startups have received them. And finally, we also have venture funding support available for our startups, where we have made a commitment of over more than $700 million to more than 70 AIFs. And the total corpus that has been put in is $4.55 billion. So right from incubation to funding, to giving them mentorship, creating partnership with corporates and international stakeholders to allow them more opportunities, I would say it has been an overall wholesome development of the ecosystem.
That's fantastic. Very impressive numbers, I must say. I believe, though, it's very important also for your startups and the companies in India as they've grown and flourished to bridge themselves and to make themselves an international brand. Well, for many of them are, of course, 1.4 billion. It could be enough to do in India. But if they want to go outside of India and if they want to go internationally, do you see opportunities for collaborations with, Europe, potentially, using Sweden as a bridge to Europe?
Yes, absolutely. So one of our key objectives is also to help connect Indian startup ecosystem with the global startup ecosystem through various engagement models. One of the fine examples would be what we have done is we have launched international bridges with 11 countries. They are like kind of a soft landing platform for startups where from partner nations, we provide soft landing platform to the startups from that company coming to India, that country coming to India, or Indian startups going there. That's what we expect from the partner. And one of these bridges we have with Sweden as well, called Sweden-India Startup Sambandh Hub, to strengthen and foster the connection between the Indian and Swedish startup ecosystem. So yes, there's a lot of possibility of cross collaboration. And yes, easier said than done, but our startups should actually be the manufacturing or can actually manufacture or innovate for the world as well. Because a lot of our innovations are very frugal in nature, which we believe that entire world can take benefit from.
Absolutely. And I think, this whole session is about pioneering the possible and something that we created to bridge both Startup India and, of course, Invest Stockholm is the Sweden-India tech community, which you're both a part of. And I know that you already collaborate, but I at least wanted to, pose the question to you. Looking forward to further collaborations between the two countries and playing an important role in that. And on that note, Anna, anything in particular that you would like to say in regards to why India is important for Invest Stockholm as a closing line?
But it's crucial, actually, because all the talents, or most of the talents from outside Europe is from India. So, and I think it's around maybe up to every fifth person who works in Stockholm is actually connected to tech work. So for Stockholm, it's crucial. So that's the easiest answer.
Super. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And thank you so much for joining from India. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon again. Happy Diwali. And thank you so much, Anna, as always.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Startup India. Great to have you, collaborate with you, and to the Stockholm, to Invest Stockholm for partnering with us and collaborating to make Stockholm a much more attractive destination for Indian talent. And I think that's a great synergy that we want to absolutely explore further.